Welcome to the show. This is the first time I'm going to do this. Figured I'd give my shot at the podcast game here. Thanks for tuning in or watching or both or whatever you want to call it. Appreciate it. We're just going to get going here. I figure some of the people that know me, or, you know, the people that would listen to this know me, so I don't have to get in too deep, but I figured I probably should. It's probably a good idea since not everybody will know me, and, you know, they probably don't know me all that well way in the back. So let's just let's jump into it here. From a small town in Rubicon, Wisconsin, southeast Wisconsin. I guess the nearest city, bigger city would be Milwaukee. Still not super close. It's a little bit in between, I guess, Milwaukee and Madison. Small. I think when I lived in the area, which it's the Hartford area, more or less the same thing. There was like 10,000 people, I think it said. So it's small. I drive through there now, and it's changed. It's changed a lot. And it's hard to recognize some of it, actually. My mom lives there still. I don't live that far away, but I don't really live that's not an area where I frequent too much anymore. So that's all right. It is what it is. But I grew up in a farmhouse. You know, when I was really, really young, my parents were farmers. I think that stopped when I was about 5. Just couldn't make money at it. They're basically breaking even, you know. So they sold it, got rid of it. Grew up playing sports. I played pretty much every sport there was. You name it. Baseball, basketball, football. I played street hockey. We invented sports. Something with rollerblades and basketball. It was actually quite fun, but that's all right. I don't even remember what we called it. That's okay. Not important. Yeah, I was really active. I always enjoyed music, but I don't know how much I was really into it. I guess as far as like for a, whatever, in your grade school, I guess, how deep into music can you get? Some people do. I don't think I was I wasn't super into it. I enjoyed it. I liked it, but it wasn't something that, at that time, like I wanted to do in life. I just liked, I liked music, and like my sisters grew up in band, you know, in school, and I did that for a little bit, but, that's as far as I thought one would go. You know, you listen to the radio and it's, that's, you know, you can't like fathom or, you know, like figure out like that's someone was me, you know, a kid, and then all of a sudden they're making songs that are on the radio. That just the connection isn't there. So, you know, enjoyed music. My sisters were older. They're 10 and 11 years older than me. So they, for the most part, like when I was growing up, they were almost out of the house. But when I was really little, they were still in the house. And like I remember, my one sister had a Monkees tape. Yes, cassette tape. I am completely dating myself, but that's all right. The Monkees. I didn't know what it was, but either way, those songs are damn good. So whatever, fight me. You know, and then she listened to she liked Prince and U2, stuff like that. And then my other sister liked like hair metal and stuff like that. So like, Poison and she like Motley Crue, and then all those other ones. They all kind of sound the same now, but you name it, she liked it. She had remember from Hit Parader, this old magazine. She had cutouts all over the walls in her bedroom. You couldn't even see the walls anymore because there were all these, these rock stars on the wall. And then it went out into the hallway. It's pretty funny. But yeah, that's what I listened to. And then there was pop radio too. That there wasn't too much of like an alternative rock station or anything like that at that time. Actually, the one that turned out to be an alternative rock station was a pop radio station until they reformatted. But, I got all that stuff. You listen to that stuff, and then, I remember when, like, the Black Album from Metallica came out. That was giant, but before that, I never heard any of the Metallica stuff. They weren't like cool in our neck of the woods. We definitely weren't cool. Just whatever was on the radio. We didn't have cable or anything, so like MTV, I would see that when I went over by friends' houses. But that was about it, and I was that was pretty neat. But that was that was a lot of what was happening as far as music. I know I really didn't get into like Prince and U2 till later. I'm not a giant U2 fan, but I enjoy some of their stuff. Prince is awesome. I got Purple Rain on vinyl. That's my street cred on that. And then I remember like, through one of those magazines, my sister got a Square record. It was a single from Every Rose Has Its Thorn. And I know what you're saying. Square record. Yeah, it was square, but then, it was round in the middle, figure it out. But I remember that. And I don't remember exactly how I got to Nirvana. I don't remember the first time I heard them. I know they started getting popular, and I don't know if I saw the video before that, but all of a sudden I just remember it being awesome. This is in the later 91, and I remember getting a Sony Discman for Christmas, as well as Nirvana's Nevermind. And that was like the first music artist that like I could take it as mine. The other stuff that I heard was like my sisters, or like, you hear stuff on pop radio, all the late 90s or late 80s, early 90s pop stuff. I had Technotronic on cassette, and, Vanilla Ice and Hammer and, all that kind of stuff, but which was fun and fine. And there's always a special place for that, and I remember that. But Nirvana was like the first one for me that I could like attach to. I could be like, I almost understand it. I wasn't a angry child, or my childhood wasn't messed up. I was just a normal country kid, just did stuff outside and caused trouble from time to time, and stuff like that. But when I heard that music, that first riff is it just opens up. It smells like Teen Spirit, and it changed. Something changed. It woke me up. I got attached to it. And not at that time, because let's see, I would have been 9 when that came out. So not quite at that time, but soon enough, I was starting to get the idea of like, you can like play guitar. How do you do that? It was this, you couldn't attach the two. I was too young or whatever to be able to figure that out, where, these were just people, they weren't just, you just hear people on, when you push play, and you hear it in your headphones, or you hear it, really? How does that work? I couldn't figure that out. But as I started going through school, you meet kids and stuff like that, and this guy's got a guitar. Huh. Or, or the parents have a guitar or something, And then eventually you start getting into my head where it's like, I could learn how to play guitar. I know you can learn how to play snare drum, and you can learn how to play clarinet and, whatever else. But like, you can learn how to play a guitar. This could be fun. So I remember taking in our music class in whatever grade it was, I can't remember. They had a guitar, the little spot in the whatever where you could play guitar. You play a recorder, everybody brings the recorder home and annoys the shit out of their parents or whatever. But there was a spot where you could play, you could learn some stuff on the guitar, and it was really neat. It was garbage, just like everybody else. I probably didn't learn anything out of it. But being such a Nirvana nut, and then getting into like Pearl Jam, all those bands, like Soundgarden back then, Stone Temple Pilots was really neat, Alice in Chains, all that stuff. And then you hear all the other stuff, that they were trying to find the next Nirvana with, but a lot of that stuff's cool. So I play this guitar in this class, and I was dog shit at it, which is fine. And then I remember starting to ask my mom, I want to learn how to play guitar. And this went on for a long time. And then eventually, let's see here. That probably would have been 94. I think I was 12, or just maybe it was 95. I got a guitar and an amp for Christmas. And it was, I remember being in the music center. We're talking, I don't know anything about guitar, and the lady who ran the place knew that, and she knew the family from, from, the band instruments and stuff, because that was the music store in town. So we'd get reeds and whatever else you needed for band instrument. So she walked us through, and I just remember holding this guitar, and I was like, either sitting on the amp, this little combo amp, either sitting on or sitting next to it, and just, you plug it in, and then you just hit any note, and it's like, it was in there. Like, it wasn't so loud, obviously you're in a, in a music store. It wasn't so loud, but it still like shook your bones. And I was just like, yeah, this is something here. I thought I was on my way already, and I don't know how to play a chord. What's a song? I don't know how to do that. So, I'll take lessons and stuff like that. And I don't know. I was a kid. I don't know how to do that. So I never took lessons. I just kind of like turned it up really freaking loud and made noise. I didn't know what tuning was. There's all sorts of stuff on the bridge of a guitar to adjust. I don't know what that does, but I'm just going to turn stuff. So I'm sure that guitar turn, it wouldn't be in tune. It'd be super on intonation. I'm sure the strings were like super duper high, so I wouldn't even be able to like learn a chord anyways, but I didn't care. It was so fun. And that when doing that kind of stuff, just, I know like I had another friend who had a guitar and he didn't know how to play, so we would just make noise. It's just ridiculous, but it was super fun. So I guess it didn't really matter how ridiculous it was. It was super fun. So I get into high school, and I can play a little stuff. Like, I could read tabs and I would, play Nirvana songs, mostly horrible, but that's fine, but I could play a little. Like I knew some songs at this time, but I wasn't good. Not at all. So I got into high school, and then I started like meeting kids that also played. You got a guitar too? You play drums? You can play drums at home? Isn't that ridiculous? Obviously you can't say these things because you got to be cool because you're a kid, but yeah, I started meeting people, and then you can start playing with other people. Wow, you know that? What did you just do there? How did you do that? You show me how to play it. And you start to like learn. You start to learn stuff that you didn't know, and you didn't really even realize that it was something that you could do. And then, oh yeah, this guy's got I was over at a friend's house, and all of a sudden I got he had a bathroom in the basement or something like that. I got to go do that. So I do that, and I see this drum set. Oh, drum set? What's going on here? So I go back up, and I said, you got a drum set. What is that yours? No, that's my dad's. Your dad plays drums? Well, why you don't play it at all? Not really. No. I was like, well, you should start, and we should start a band. It was as simple as that. And he was like, well, okay, and he has seen his dad play, so he like kind of knew a little on how to hold the sticks. And we had another friend that was there. He was far more advanced than like I would have been on guitar. And he know how to like actually play stuff. So like my friend who I told him to get on the drum set, he plays like a little bit of something, and then like I think his dad heard him play and was like, came down and showed him like how to just do like a 1, 2, 3, 4 thing. So I mean, it was super duper duper basic, super out of time, which is whatever. It's fine. It's the first time doing it. No big deal. But yeah, he'd just play drums, and then the other guy, there was like an acoustic there, and he like played acoustic with the drums, and like you could hardly hear it, but it was like I'm witnessing two people playing here that like hadn't played together before. It was really neat. So at that time, we started playing with more people, and like as soon as you start playing with more people, you start getting better. Maybe this guy over here knows, A, and then another friend you have knows B and C, and now you know A, B, and C. It's really neat. So eventually we started getting people like a little bit more, I guess serious would be, but you're in high school. How serious can he be? But somebody that you actually like wanted to, they wanted to be in a band. you know? So then at that point, it's like, well, we can't find a bass player because nobody plays bass because bass isn't cool. So, all right, I'll be the one to. So I traded my guitar. I think at this point I'd probably been through like 2 or 3 guitars. You know, you just upgrade, you know, trade away and all that kind of stuff. So I traded this guitar for a bass. I didn't even get a bass amp yet. I think I was still playing through the guitar amp for a little while. And then eventually I did get a bass, but we had a band. We started being a band. We started as a 4-piece. You know, we had a singer and then a guitar player, drummer, and the bass player, me. Well, you know, I mean, we played our first show, I think, in 97. This was right around the time Chris Farley passed away. And, you know, us being like 15 years old, yeah, we're going to dedicate this show to Chris Farley, you know, because, yeah, I mean, I think he literally passed away like 3 days prior to that. So we played our first show and it was awful. You know, we were terrible, but your first band is always terrible. By and large, terrible. I'll say that. But yeah, we were bad. We were horrible, but we were having a lot of fun, and we were buddies, and we played a show. We played in front of people. We played with some of the like the best bands of that era, and there's one band that we played with that closed the show that I think they're still probably the best band of that area. And like a year ago, I was able to find some of their songs online, and I was super excited. And every time I listen to them, I get super excited. Neither here nor there. Yeah, we played the show, and we were bad, and that was fine. But we didn't even open. We played second. We had fun. Super nervous, you know, but it was a blast. You know, and then eventually, like, you know, the singer ended up quitting. So, like, I started singing, and then the guitar player started singing. And you just get better. You start writing better songs. You learn songs that are a little bit more difficult to figure out and play. You just get better. You know, you get a little bit more creative. All that kind of stuff. And, you know, and then I went and joined another band and quit the one band. And you just start playing with more people. And that's exactly what you do to get better. That basically happens with whatever. You know, any kind of like art or performance or sport even. You got to play, you got to work with people that are better than you. There's always going to be somebody better than you, and if you can work with them, play with them, you in turn are going to get better. You know, I was fortunate enough at that time in when I was really growing a lot as a musician to be able to play with some of the best musicians that, you know, that were in the school. Some of the best drummers, some of the best bass players. And I was able to learn so much from all these people. It was a great time to be able to learn and expand being a musician. And I was still playing bass at that point. I think, yeah, towards the once I stopped playing with that first band, I went back to guitar. I always liked playing bass, but I went back to guitar. I figured that was kind of my that was what I was supposed to be doing. You know, I played bass, I played guitar, I could play drums. I got decent at drums, not great. And today I can hardly even probably play a beat anymore. But like I play drums. I we're coming up in the late 90s, okay? Give me some slack here, but I DJ'd in a band. I had turntables. We weren't even like a rap metal band, but rap metal was, the guy didn't rap. He could sing really well and scream really well. But we weren't a necessarily rap metal band, but that was big, and we played rap metal riffs, I guess you could say. So, like, yeah, I DJ'd in a band. What up? I was horrible. I didn't have any business doing it at all. But it was still fun, but through all that stuff, I was able to play with the best players. And that's just what you got to do. I know I repeated that a whole bunch in the last like 5 minutes here, but that's just what you got to do. You can do lessons, and that's great. You learn a lot of the ins and outs. You learn technique, and all these are very, very important. And a lot of that stuff I didn't learn in high school. Really, I learned a little in high school. You don't really know you're learning it, but you learn some. And then when I went to college, I just went to college for a semester, but I went for guitar. And I did learn a lot of theory, technique, that kind of stuff. But I played with people. I played in bands, so that was kind of more of what I was interested in doing. And in turn now, I mean, I think of all the things that I should have learned. And I'm trying to kind of learn some of those things now, but then I refer back to my old mindset of, I'll just play with people, and then, you figure it out. And you do, but sometimes doing the theory or the thinking stuff is fun too. And it does help. It is very important. I wish I would have known that back then. But going back to Nirvana, learning on that kind of stuff is like, there was solos, but they weren't shredding solos really. That wasn't a cool thing. Showing off on guitar in certain respects was almost frowned upon. And it, not overtly, but that wasn't a thing, like guitar wankery, like what happened in the with the hair bands and stuff wasn't a thing. It was about songs and performances. And I still subscribe to that, actually. I would rather much play for the song than I would try to wank off on guitar. And I'm not good enough to do that anyways. But it's just not my style. But that's one of the things that I took from Nirvana and bands like the Screaming Trees or the Pixies or something like that, is that the song is the most important part. Nirvana continues to inspire me all the time. I listen back to those songs, not nearly as much as I used to, obviously, but nonetheless, I still listen to them, and it takes me back, to that spot in my life where like I first heard them, and that inspires me. It inspires to like try to keep guitar playing like young in a weird way, which is kind of strange to say, but that's been the biggest inspiration to me is Nirvana. And then obviously it gets past, more stuff past that, but that's what inspired me to pick up the guitar for sure. because that showed you could go and just start playing chords and write a song, and you don't have to be all that good at playing guitar, but if the song is decent, you're going to be happy. And I continue to do that now. So Nirvana was definitely the catalyst in inspiring me to play guitar, to play in bands, to write songs, and to continue to just be a fan of music. Obviously, I get into more styles of music, different bands. My guitar playing has definitely changed since then, as well as it should. But that's where the genesis and catalyst of it all came from, was from Nirvana and being 9 years old. So that's kind of what inspired me to play guitar. Not kind of, that's what inspired me to play guitar. I could keep going on other stuff, but I think I'm just going to leave it at that on this one. So this is the first of many of Can I Get More podcasts on my monitor. I am Johnny Ruckus. Appreciate you taking the time to listen or watch or whatever. I know I don't have a super awesome camera, but I don't need it. And plus, you don't really want to see me all that much anyways. You just want to hear my luscious voice. So anyways, I definitely appreciate everybody who has tuned into this. And can I get more podcasts in my monitor? Bye now.